Hello and welcome. I am Brett Perkins, General Manager of your cooperative. Thank you for tuning in and listening to Tri-County Rural Electric Cooperative's 86th Annual Business Meeting. The social portion of the annual meeting was held on Saturday, July 22nd by way of a Member Appreciation Day at historic Saudi Village in Archibald, Ohio. Over 500 members and guests joined us that day. Thank you for those who attended, and we hope to do it again next year. Thank you. Now let me introduce your current Board of Trustees. President, Marvin Green. Vice President, Brad Hallbright. Secretary Treasurer, Kenneth Brubaker. Assistant Secretary Treasurer, David Clapp. Trustee, Kenneth Magg. Trustee, James Weber. And Trustee, Lynn Meyer. I would also like to introduce your Tri-County employees. Sue Bockelman, Craig Wilson, Jake Warnemont, Chris Oakley, Brian Bick, CJ Schmitz, Oliver Fessler, Andrea Gherkin, and this year's newest employees, Tessa Brinkman, Tyler Apt, and Abram Schinninger. On behalf of the board and the employees, we would like to thank you, the members, for your support over the past year. I will now turn the meeting over to Tri-County's Board President, Mr. Marvin Green.
Thank you, Brett. Hello, I'm Marvin Green, President of your Cooperative's Board of Trustees. At this time, I will call the 86th Annual Meeting of Tri-County Rural Electric Cooperative Incorporated to order. Will you please join me in the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance? Shall we pray? Dear Lord, I want to thank you for our blessings that you've given us. I want you to protect our members and our linemen as they're out there doing a critical job to keep all of us in power, and I want to pray for their safety. Amen. Amen. Now will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisibly, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. As board president, I will now certify the mailing of the notice of this year's annual meeting. Article 3, Section 3 of the Cooperative's Code of Regulations requires that each member receive written notice of the annual meeting. The notice was made in the mailing of the September 2023 issue of Ohio Cooperative Living Magazine. We have a notarized certificate of mailing from the publishers of Ohio Cooperative Living Magazine stating that they placed 3,749 copies of the September 2023 issue of the magazine in the United States mail on August 23, 2023. This document will be made part of the official records of this meeting. Thank you. Welcome, and thank you for viewing your 2023 Tri-County Rural Electric Cooperative Annual Meeting. This year marks our 86th meeting. I hope you had the opportunity to read our management report that was included with the annual meeting information in Ohio Cooperative Living Magazine. In the past year, we have invested over $1 million in our utility plant. Utility plant includes upgrading equipment, building new lines, and rebuilding sections of older lines. We also invested over $755,000 in maintenance on our 623 miles of distribution lines to maintain our system. Maintenance and tree trimming programs are vital for Tri-County to provide you with reliable electric service. Every month, the Board of Trustees review the monthly financial statements. It is the board's responsibility to ensure that Tri-County remains financially sound, especially during the present times. The cost of power continues to be our largest expense. More than 60 cents of every dollar you pay in your electric bill goes towards the cost of power. Keep in mind, Tri-County is a nonprofit utility and operates at cost. By living within Tri-County's service area and receiving service from Tri-County, you are members and owners of Tri-County Rural Electric. Each year, any profit or margin that is left after all expenses are paid is allocated back to each member based on the members' total usage for the year. These funds are retained by the cooperative for a period of time and used to maintain the distribution system. This is referred to as allocating margins or capital credits. Retiring capital credits is when the cooperative pays the margins back to the members. When and how much is retired depends on the financial condition of the cooperative. I am pleased to announce that after reviewing the financial condition and the goals of your cooperative, the Board of Trustees has approved a general retirement of capital credits to its current and former members who received electric service from Tricouny. This retirement will take place in December and will total over $567,000. In addition, we retired over $267,000 to the estates of deceased members this past year, including the $580,000 general retirement last December. A grand total of $847,000 was given back to our members this year. Since 1950, Tricouny has returned over $22.1 million to our member owners. Maintaining our electric distribution system and operating our cooperative as a financially sound and secure business would not be possible without dedicated employees. I want to take this opportunity to thank our employees for their hard work and service to the cooperative this past year. In conclusion, I want to thank my fellow Board of Trustee members for their service to the cooperative. I would also like to express my gratitude to the membership for their support in allowing me to serve Tricouny Rural Electric. I will now turn it over to Pat O'Laughlin, President and CEO of Buckeye Power and Ohio's Electric Cooperative.
Hello, I'm Pat O'Laughlin, President and CEO of Ohio's Electric Cooperatives. Welcome to your cooperative's annual meeting, and thank you for attending what is a unique and foundational part of our cooperative history in Ohio. Neighbors like yourselves coming together for over 80 years to bring reliable and affordable electricity to the homes and businesses in your community. Looking back on 2022, it was a year that brought many challenges. We saw extreme volatility in fuel prices. We saw high inflation for nearly everything we buy: fuel, materials and supplies, equipment, vehicles, wages, you name it. We experienced extreme supply chain disruptions that resulted in long lead times for electrical equipment. And finally, we experienced severe weather events that caused widespread grid disruptions. Ohio's electric cooperatives performed well at keeping the lights on, making repairs when outages did occur, and holding cost increases to a minimum. So while electric bills have increased over the past year, after several years of stable rates, co-ops across Ohio are taking every step available to keep costs as low as possible. In 2022 and 2023, our mission has not changed, and our commitment to you, our members, has not wavered. But the reality is that providing a safe, reliable, affordable, and environmentally responsible supply of electricity is getting more and more challenging. Across the country, we are facing disorderly retirement of baseload, coal, and nuclear power plants, stemming from poorly conceived and harmful energy policies. These include overreaching and unreasonable environmental regulations that result in high costs but minimal environmental benefits, poorly designed market rules that undercompensate reliable baseload power plants that provide a steady and controllable output, while overcompensating less reliable and intermittent energy sources. Also, unreasonable goals and timeframes to achieve greater reductions in carbon emissions are causing problems. I want to share with you our reality here in Ohio. As recently as 2009, Ohio had 21 coal-fired power plants capable of producing over 22,000 megawatts of electricity. Later this year, we will have 4 remaining plants and less than 7,000 megawatts of capacity. Many of the plants that closed had recently completed major environmental upgrades, only to be met with another series of more challenging and expensive environmental requirements. Some of these plants have been replaced with modern natural gas-fired plants and large solar installations. But we have greatly reduced our capability to produce electricity, especially during periods of severe cold weather like we experienced this past Christmas. On December 23rd to 25th, the grid operator for our region, PJM Interconnection, used all emergency steps available, stopping just short of ordering rolling blackouts to stabilize our regional power grid. Just to our south, in Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, and parts of several other states, rolling blackouts were required to keep the system from collapsing. We've seen similar events in recent years in California, Texas, and even right here in Columbus, Ohio last summer. The integrity of our national and regional electric grid is at risk and will only get better if we make a change in course. Reliable, affordable, environmentally responsible power is our commitment to you, and you should expect it to be our government's commitment to you as well. Ohio electric cooperatives are making that known to our elected officials in Washington, D.C. and here in Ohio, with the help of our National Association of Rural Electric Cooperatives. Ohio electric cooperatives have launched our own statewide campaign that we call REAL, focused on the importance of reliable, environmentally responsible, affordable power for local communities. We are working to educate and inform not only cooperative members, but your neighbors and all Ohioans that reliable power and the integrity of America's electrical grid must be a priority. We ask for your help as cooperatives. This is what we do best: come together for a common cause for the good of all. So I ask you, talk to your neighbors, educate and inform them. It's hard to understand or imagine the critical situation that we are in, and we've reached a time where something needs to be done. I'm sure all of you have heard the voices pushing for a carbon-free environment. Of course, we all want a cleaner world for future generations, and we're getting there, as emissions of all types have been reduced dramatically over the past several years. But we should not and need not sacrifice reliable and affordable power today. The history of your electric cooperative can be our guide. It was founded when neighbors working together to bring electricity to their rural community. Today, it's about working together to keep that reliable and affordable electricity on all day, every day, especially when severe weather hits your community. Thanks for your participation in your cooperative's annual meeting today, and for your support to help us get this right for today and for tomorrow.
Thank you, Pat. Greg Steyer, Tri-County's auditor, will now give his report.
Thank you, Mr. Green. I'm pleased to review your cooperative's financial information that was provided to you. I met with Tri-County Board on July 26 to review the results of the May 31st year end. My report states in the opinion paragraph that your financial statements present fairly the financial position of Tri-County Rural Electric in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. The statement of revenue and expense shows a 2.7% increase in revenues to $10.5 million. Heating and cooling degree days were at 90% of 5-year averages. Cost of power from Buckeye increased from 8.1 cents per kilowatt hour to 8.3 cents. All other operating expenses increased a total of $432,000. Tree trimming accounted for $119,000 of the increase, and depreciation, taxes, and interest for the new substation was $162,000 of the increase. The remaining $151,000 includes training for new linemen and general inflation of expenses. Patronage capital received from Buckeye Power increased $79,000. Consequently, net margin was $652,000, which is $72,000 higher than the prior year. Approximately $821,000 of patronage distributions were paid out to estates and members. Our balance sheet shows an increase of $400,000 in plant accounts, primarily for pole and wire replacement and extensions. We were able to reduce our long-term debt to CFS and Hamler Bank by $207,000. Our equity balance of $16.6 million is 75% of assets, a slight increase from last year and indicating a very strong balance sheet. Again, thank you for the opportunity to perform your annual audit and to review the results with you today.
Thank you, Greg, for your auditor's report. This past year and for the foreseeable future, two challenges are at the forefront of Tri-County fulfilling its mission of providing safe, reliable, and affordable power to our members. I and other cooperative leaders in Ohio have engaged our elected leaders at the Ohio State House and in Washington, D.C. to discuss our concerns over power reliability and the impact it will have on our communities. I know you rely on the power we provide 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Our lives and livelihoods depend on it. For the first time since neighbors came together to form Tri-County in 1936, the reliability of power is at risk. Buckeye Power, our generation and transmission provider, generates enough power for all 400,000 members of Ohio's electric cooperatives. But we depend on a larger grid to balance supply and demand for electricity. Your cooperative works hard every day to ensure the local delivery system is reliable through planned maintenance programs and responsive service to local power outages. It's important you understand why power reliability is at risk. Demand for electricity is higher than ever, especially during extreme cold and hot weather. The supply for reliable electricity is down due to the retirement of coal and nuclear baseload plants. In 2009, Ohio had 21 coal plants, and by the end of 2023, just 4 will remain. Intermittent sources such as wind and solar have come online, but have not filled the gap and are not reliable 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. There is overreaching and unreasonable environment regulations that result in unnecessarily high costs and provide only minimal environmental benefits. There are poorly designed electricity market rules that undercompensate baseload power plants that provide steady, controllable output, while overcompensating less reliable intermittent sources. There's unreasonable EPA goals and timeframes to achieve greater carbon emission reductions. There are supply chain challenges that have resulted in unreasonable lead times for us to obtain equipment and line trucks we use for local service. The national organization charged with ensuring a reliable electric grid, called the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, or NERC, and PJM Interconnection, which manages Ohio's grid, have each published reports of concerning trends causing increased reliability risks. Both reports point out that rolling blackouts, like those experienced in Texas, California, 9 Midwest states, and that threatened Ohio in December of 2022, are inevitable without an immediate change in energy policy. For 87 years, the mission of Tri-County has been to deliver reliable, safe, environmentally responsible electricity at stable and affordable rates to our member owners of the local communities we serve. Our commitment has never wavered, but is being challenged because of poorly conceived and harmful energy policies. The energy future outlined by the EPA will result in more blackouts, higher costs, and greater uncertainty. We ask for your help by letting your state and national elected leaders know that you support common sense energy policies. The second challenge we have is managing costs. Many of the same things that are causing reliability concerns are also impacting costs. Decreasing generation supply with increasing demand for electricity has caused a spike in the price for electricity on the open markets. This was evident when the investor-owned electric utilities, Toledo Edison and AEP, substantially raised rates this past June. Long lead times on material not only jeopardizes reliability, but the lack of supply has caused material and goods we need to operate to skyrocket. To give a couple specific examples, in 2021, the new transformer for our new Delta substation cost $340,000. This same transformer in 2023, which is needed for the rebuilding of the Mayrow substation, is $645,000, a 90% increase in cost. Regulators in 2021 were $18,400. The same regulators in 2023 are now $41,400, a 125% increase in cost. Estimated lead times to receive this needed equipment is 56 to 72 weeks. These are just two examples of what we are encountering on all material and equipment we use on our system. The two challenges I have just covered have made a rate adjustment a difficult but necessary decision. As I mentioned in Cooperative Living magazine, effective September 1st, our rates increased by 1 cent per kilowatt hour, and our monthly facility charge increased by $2. This equates to approximately an 8% increase, or $12 per month for most members. The rates we charge our members is the most difficult responsibility of your cooperative trustees and management. We strive to keep our rates competitive while balancing these ever-rising expenses and meeting financial targets required by our financial partners. We strive to be financially stable, operate at a high level of service, maintain our distribution system, and refund capital credits to our members. Tri-County is still one of the lowest costing electric cooperatives in Ohio. Thank you for your time and have a great day. According to Article 4, Section 2 of Tri-County's Code of Regulations, board members will be elected to serve a term of 4 years. A tenure of board members shall be limited to 3 consecutive terms, to which such board members shall have been elected. Board member Kenneth Brubaker has reached this milestone and is retiring from the Tri-County Board. I would like to thank Mr. Brubaker for his leadership, support over the past 12 years. Mr. Brubaker was elected to the board in September of 2011, and in September of 2015, Mr. Brubaker was elected Secretary-Treasurer of the Tri-County Board, as well as Tri-County's representative on the statewide Board of Directors. Over his tenure, he has earned Credentialed Cooperative Director Certificate, Board Leadership Certificate, and Director Gold Certificate from our national organization and our ECA. Over the past 12 years, Mr. Brubaker has attended numerous board meetings, committee meetings, strategic planning sessions, trustees conferences, and trustee training sessions. He has represented Tri-County well on the state and national level. On behalf of the members, fellow board members, and the employees of Tri-County Rural Electric, Ken was presented with an engraved and customized meter lamp in recognition of a job well done and a thank you for his 12 years of service to Tri-County. My final act of business is to report on the trustee election for District 1, representing Dover, Pike, Fulton, York, and part of Swan Creek Townships in Fulton County, and for District 6, representing Damascus, Richfield, and Bartlow Townships in Henry County, and Grand Rapids, Milton, and Weston Townships in Wood County. I would like to begin by thanking all the candidates for their willingness to serve the members of Tri-County Rural Electric. The trustee election was conducted by mail and electronically through our website. All members were given an equal opportunity to vote from the comforts of their own home from August 1st through August 31st. We have a notarized certificate of mailing from Survey and Ballot Systems that 3,744 ballots were deposited in the United States mail, and the website was open for voting on August 1st, 2023. Ballots with a postmark or electronic timestamp no later than August 31st, 2023 were accepted and counted. We received a record number of votes this year with 664 ballots cast. The newly elected trustee representing District 1 is Mr. Marvin Green. The newly elected trustee representing District 6 is Mr. Ted Gildy. Congratulations to Mr. Green and Mr. Gildy, and I will now turn it back over to Mr. Green for the adjournment.
With no further business, I will declare the 86th Tri-County Rural Electric Cooperative Annual Meeting adjourned. Thank you.